welcome to SVG-TV's news for Thursday, March 12th, 2020. I am Garifuna with details. SVG has recorded its first imported case of the novel coronavirus. The announcement was made at an emergency press conference last evening hosted by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. The patient is a Vincentian national aged 30 to 35 years who traveled to the United Kingdom for a meeting and returned home on March 7th with a fever and cough. Minister of Health Luke Brown said the patient was informed about her status and has been working along with the ministry. Minister Brown said the individual will make a full recovery as the symptoms are said to be mild.
The patient has been informed of this status. She is fully cooperating with the ministry. In fact, the patient voluntarily reported her symptoms to the ministry on March 10th and has since then been in isolation at home under the care of competent health professionals. The symptoms are mild and we expect the patient to make a full recovery. Based on the patient's travel history and symptoms, health professionals suspected COVID-19. These suspicions were confirmed by laboratory testing at the Caribbean Public Health Agency laboratory in Trinidad and Tobago. The results were received today at approximately 5:20 p.m. The patient and her family members have already been informed.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Simone Keija-Beach said that the individual has been isolated and family members quarantined.
Is healthy, is not ill. When I say that in terms of the person is not in any significant respiratory compromise, the person is comfortable, the person is not short of breath. We will test persons who meet the criteria for a case, okay? So we are not going to test every contact of the person unless that contact exhibits symptoms and signs of COVID. There were no symptoms. There was nothing to suggest any sort of coughing to say they were spreading this in terms of massive coughing exposing persons.
Dr. Keija-Beach said medical personnel followed strict procedures in dealing with the patient.
As I said, the person is safe. My staff is safe. I was extremely, I impress upon my staff in terms of them following all of the procedures. So we provided my staff with personal protective equipment. We ensure that everyone who went to see the patient, was trained and capable of providing the care they needed to provide and at the same time to protect themselves.
Meanwhile, the health minister said his ministry is in an advanced state of preparedness for an outbreak of the virus and that they have beefed up surveillance with the necessary equipment in place.
Adequate stock of personal protective equipment in country for our health facilities. Additionally, an adequate supply or store of respiratory medicine for the next 3 months is on hand. 3, the ministry continues with the further training of healthcare providers, including ongoing sensitization and training of personnel at airports and seaports. The ministry understands that the public may be concerned and that there is an element of uncertainty.
An isolation facility at Argyle Airport is being fast-tracked and the PSR equipment to do in-country testing is expected to be in a state at the end of this month. Meanwhile, in light of the news that the coronavirus is in the country, there was a rush today at pharmacies with persons queuing up in long lines to purchase vitamins, disinfectants, hand sanitizers and other hygienic products. Our news team visited some of the pharmacies in capital Kingstown and reported that they are now out of stock.
This morning, there was a rush. We had to close the door, let out customers because of the rush here this morning. Some patients are very fearful about what is happening, what is the next move, and I think they're trying to stock up, Vincent already with their late move. So they are rushing. We are fighting. As a matter of fact, we are fighting here this morning over hand sanitizers. If you can look here, where we have vitamin C, the shelf here, we stock for the entire morning, and now we are completely out of vitamin C. We are completely out of hand sanitizers. We are out of gloves. face masks out. We have some N95 masks, which is more expensive than the regular mask.
Our Lysol wipes and our hand sanitizers, everything, gloves, masks, everything were off the shelves. It was complete chaos in here this morning. We even had to lock our doors. Effervescent vitamin C tabs, everything we have hopefully coming in by next week. Keeping our fingers crossed that they get here. Since last week, we've been dealing with the increased demand for vitamin C and hand sanitizers. But after the announcement last night, it just tripled everything. So everybody just going crazy over everything that could protect them, really.
From since the last time you were here, there was a constant rush for hand sanitizer and vitamin C. But today, rubbing alcohol, everything just went like hot bread.
The pharmacies are hoping to restock at the earliest possible time. However, it is not promised that the prices on the items will be the same when they are put back on the shelves. Persons have complained of price gouging, but the pharmacies say it is not their fault.
That's not true. Because what happened is that we have a different brand, say like for rubbing alcohol, and that's a bigger one. So the price normally is higher because of the size. Because people are accustomed to a certain brand of rubbing alcohol that we stock. But this time we increase our stock by having a bigger bottle. So that's why people complain.
What we have, we sold at our regular prices, right? But new stocks now, for example, this week we got in some vitamin C from a regular supplier here. I don't want to call the name of that supplier, but the price went up. And again, I cannot really blame this supplier because the imports coming in also, the price has gone up. For example, I can tell you, paracetamol that we have been selling since I opened the pharmacy is for like $6 easy a box. I checked my supplier in England just this morning. That same box that we normally sell for $6 easy is now over 7 years a box in England, and that is before freight and duty. So we're thinking about if to buy it or if not to buy it, because Vincenzo will blame us that we are raising up the price, but not us, is where we get them from.
While most persons are worried about the coronavirus in SVG, one woman said she is not worried as she is taking all the necessary precautions.
Take the necessary precautions, wash your hands and so forth. Besides, I have everything else. I'm just here to buy the vitamins now.
Contact tracing, communication are key. Clear tracing, clear communication and public education will be key if SVG is going to properly manage COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So said the head of the Caribbean Public Health Public Agency, CAFA, Dr. Joy St. John, as she spoke with our news team today via telephone interview in relation to the country's response to the coronavirus.
And I'm sure that St. Vincent has started it. It's going to be important for St. Vincent to start the contact tracing of the person that has been discovered to be positive, an assessment of the persons that are identified in terms of if they need to be quarantined or isolated until the period where you are sure that they're not developing symptoms. If they're symptomatic, you will need to do testing in the same way that you had tested the person who was the first positive for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. At the same time, there should be due care and attention to the persons in the health services who have to interact with the persons who are being contact traced and, if necessary, isolated or hospitalized. So there should be due care and attention to the occupational safety and health of the health sector. And of that, I am very certain that St. Vincent is doing this.
Dr. St. John stressed the importance for health officials to provide the public with information on the role they can play to contain the spread of the virus, especially sectors which can be negatively impacted.
I didn't speak about panic or hysteria. but I know that there has been circulating throughout the Caribbean region a lot of misinformation, a lot of fake news, and some malicious rumor and scaremongering as well. So now that people are realizing in beautiful St. Vincent, they are touched by this disease that seemed to be so far away originally in China, I am sure there's a lot of concern. But if the health services are executing and sharing information constantly, it would be important. It isn't just the general public that needs to have information. There are also very key sectors, business, education, the tourism sector, government. It is very important that there is communication.
Lack of information can create panic and hysteria amongst the population, especially as it relates to a new disease. According to the CAFA director, constant communication will help to alleviate fears.
Things that Dr. Keyser did and the minister in the press conference the part of the press conference that I watched last night is that they outlined the strengths of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Health Services. And that is important. It's very important with a new disease to know that the health authorities know what they're doing and they know how to go about it. The other thing that I liked is that the fact that both the minister and the CMO are speaking to the general population means that there is access to the top technical and policy leadership by the general public, and that is important. There is not separation. That is also important.
Meanwhile, the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, in a news release today, said that the confirmation of the coronavirus, COVID-19, in the country is an extremely serious matter for all Vincentians, as it will affect the way persons do business and how everyone go about their daily lives. The party encouraged everyone to do their part to protect themselves against the virus and to prepare and minimize the economic impact on the country. The party's leader, Dr. Godwin Friday, is expected to meet with officials from the Ministry of Health for a consultation on COVID-19 situation problem tomorrow. The opposition leader said it is imperative that everyone do their part to resist the spread of the virus and ultimately stop it from causing more deaths, economic damage, and social disruption. Persons with a travel history, which include Iran, will be quarantined here for 14 days in light of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. The approval was granted at a meeting of Cabinet last Friday, March 6th. A release issued today states that there has been a discontinuation of COVID-19 quarantine requirements for persons traveling from Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, while 14-day quarantine for persons who have a travel history to China, South Korea, and Italy remain in effect. The Cabinet also granted permission to health authorities to implement active surveillance of persons with a travel history that includes countries with community transmission. Non-essential travel is not advised at this time, and quarantine of non-residents will not be a cost to the traveler. In reference to mass gathering, Cabinet said this is under consideration. On Tuesday, a number of persons participated in a march and rally to raise awareness about domestic violence in SVG. The event came at the heels of two recent killings of a nurse and assistant teacher at the hands of their alleged abusive partners. Our news team used the opportunity on Tuesday to speak with some persons participating in the march who all agreed more has to be done to put an end to domestic violence against women in society.
I just want to say that we are men's equals, not their tools to be used and abused.
We need to understand what makes the men tick, what causes them to chip off. Is it a communication problem? Is it an entitlement problem? Is it a social scripting problem? Is it a biological problem? Is it a substance abuse problem? All of these are multi-causal factors.
As the General Secretary of the Public Service Union, I'm here in support of this march. I have a wife who I love and respect, and I would advise all men just to treat their wives as their queen Don't ill treat, don't beat up.
While I am being concerned, I am just one person. I think legislations need to change and stiffer penalties need to be put in place for us to have any kind of justice being served when crimes are committed.
Concerned, but I'm looking around and I think women have to take the lead. You know, I don't see any parliamentarians here, and I'm just a man, you know. Women is superior sex, so if they want to send a message, they have to take the lead and go out there and get the message across. So I'm just here in support.
I make sure I have to be here today to support my women because I have 2 daughters, and believe you, I don't know how I will feel if one of them end up like the women that are being slain in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Vinci Mas brand is now to be more recognized regionally and internationally, which is expected to result in more persons wanting to invest in the festival and coming to SVG for the June to July event. This is according to Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture Cecil McKee, who was at the time addressing the media launch of the 2020 festival. In reference to the coronavirus and the staging of this year's festival, and in light of the warning by health authorities internationally for persons to avoid large gatherings to prevent the spread of the virus, Minister McKee said that the government has done the necessary protocols and procedures for welcoming persons in St. Vincent and Grenadines, especially with the knowledge of the coronavirus.
We have put the necessary protocols and procedures in place for welcoming persons by cruise, by yachts, and through our airports. For Vinci Mas 2020, we can expect that there will be announcements, continued announcements from the Ministry of Health, and you've heard them intensify those announcements going forward. What we can do as a people to keep ourselves safe and healthy, what we can do in terms of preventing the COVID-19 coming to our shows, and in the event that it comes to our shows, what we are ready to put in place to deal with those issues.
Minister McKee said he is looking forward to the opening of the new Art and Craft Development Center at Montrose next month, which all goes well for the promotion of Destination SVG.
Next month, we will more than likely open the doors of our Arts and Craft and Development Center. That's a building at Montrose, and that is going to offer the opportunities to CDC and all of our festivals and our art and the craft persons to develop in those various aspects. So there will be an art gallery, there will be a craft aspect of display, and there will be development.
Over 15 local exhibitors are displaying at the Peace Memorial Hall Indigenous Art, Craft and Artifacts. The exhibition, which coincides with the International Garifuna Conference, forms part of the National Heritage Month of activities hosted by the Garifuna Heritage Foundation. Coordinator of the exhibition, Merle Gelizu, said the arts and craft artifacts on display tells of the rich culture and heritage of the Garifunas.
We have about 15 exhibitors here today with us. We have jewelry, basket, and those baskets are from straw, waste, bamboo, and those baskets were used in the days before. We have drums, as you see here from the old time. We have the calabash, we have painted stones, pepper sauce. We had some madongo bakes, but they all went, and we also have local foods. We have sweet cakes, and also we have vase from the clay.
Gelizu is encouraging persons to visit the exhibition site to learn more about the history of the Garifunas.
One person showcasing some war, a lady from Trinidad, and that was at the Old Public Library. But we normally will have this exhibition on a yearly basis. Sometimes we have it at Heritage Square, but this year we have it here because of tents.
The exhibition and the conference will end tomorrow, Friday, March the 13th.